Uh, we're live with the ISUPK Virginia Sabbath service. Imadium, which means to stand. Wapanya Hakwadam, which means turn and face the east. We're going to do the Lord's Prayer in the Hebrew. Abanawa, Shabashamayim, Kwadash, Haya, Shemka, Yahawa, Malakwavka, Taba'a, Ratazayaka, Haya, Aisha, Ba'arataza, Kawa, Haya, Bashamayim, Lathanlanawa, Lakam, Ka, Yawam, Wasalaknawa, Kabawathnawa, Kasalaknawa, Kabawathinawa, Wala'a, Taba'aya nawa, Bonasaya one, Abal, Hawashai nawa, Mayan, Ra, Kaya, Laka, Hamalakwa, Waha'ala, Wathaparav, La Walamium, Aman. And in the English, our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. But thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. So be it. The prayer for the power. Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahushua, Wabakwashah, Nathanlanawa, Haka, Larapa'a, Ka Makala, Wakal Matawa, Haka, Latahar, Hamatazarayim, Haka, Lahakwiyam, Hamathim, Haka, Arakar Hatama Allah, Lagarisham, Ba'ashim Yahushua, the Wada Aman, Yahweh. In the name of Yahweh, please give us the power to heal all manner of sickness and all manner of disease, the power to cleanse the lepers, the power to raise the dead, the power against unclean spirits, to cast them out. In the name of Yahweh, thank you, so be it. Psalms 121 in the Hebrew. Asha'a, Ayanya, Al-Haharian, Ma'ayan, Yaba'a, Izoriya, Ma'ain, Yahweh, Aisha, Shemayim, Wa'aratiza, Al-Yathan, Lamawat, Regalka, Al-Yanawam, Shemarka, Hana, La'a, Yanawam, Wala'a, Yayashan, Shawamar, Yasha'ala, Yahweh, Shemarka, Yahweh, Tizalka, Al-Yad, Yamyanka, Yawamam, Hashamash, La'a, Yakaka, Wayarach, Balayala, Yahweh, Yashamor, Makal Ra, Yashamor, Athna Pashka, Yahweh, Yashamor, Tazaathka, Wabawa'aka, Ma'aitha, Wa'aid, Iwalam, Aman. In the English, I will lift up mine eyes into the hills, from whence cometh my help. My help cometh from Yahweh, which made heaven and earth. He will not suffer thy foot to be moved. He that keepeth thee will not slumber. Behold, he that keepeth Israel shall neither slumber nor sleep. Yahweh is thy keeper. Yahweh is thy shade upon thy right hand. The sun shall not smite thee by day, nor the moon by night. Yahweh shall preserve thee from all evil. He shall preserve thy soul. Yahweh shall preserve thy going out and thy coming in, from this time forth and even forevermore. So be it. Prayer for the blessings. The Hebrew. Barakatah Yahweh. Why? Oh, select. Psalms 83 in the Hebrew. Alahayim. Al Damayalaka. Al Dakarash. Wa Al Dashakwat. Al Kayahana. Awayabyaka. Yahama Yawan. Wa Mashanayaka. Nasha'awa. Ra'ash. Al Aimaka. Ya'ira Yamwa. Sawad. Wayataya Aitazawa. Al Tazapa Wanyaka. Amarwa, Lakawa, Wanakakida, Magoya, Wala'a, Yazakar, Sham Yasha'ala, Iwad, Kaya, Nawa Aitazawa, Lab, Yakadwa, Auyaka, Barya, Yakarathwa, Ahoya, Lab, Yakadwa, Wayashima Auya, Mawa'aba, Wahagoria, Gabal, Wa'ima Wa'ima Palashaf, I'm Yashabia, Tazawar, Gum Ashawar, Nalawa, Imam, Hayawa, Zerawai, Labanya Lawat, Salah, Aishalaham, Kamadian, Kasaya Sara'a, Kayabian, Banachal, Kwayashwan, Nashamadwa, Ba'ayanda Ara, Hayawa, Daman, La Adama, Shayatamwa, Nadayamawa, Ka'ira, Wakazahaba, Wakazabak, Wakatazal Manai. It's like it. Kal, Nasaya Kamwa, Ashar, Amarwa, Nayarisha, Lanawa, Af, Na'awaf, Alahayim, Alahaya, Shayatamwa, Kagalgala, Kakwash, Lapanya Racha, Ka'ash, Taba'ira Ya'ira, Wakalahaba, Dalahat, Haryam, Kun, Daradapma, Basa Irika, Wabasawa Pathka, Tabahalam, Mala'a, Panyaham, Kwalawan, Wayabakwashwa, like it, Wayabakwashwa, Shamka, Yahweh, Yabashwa, Wayaba'awa, Aid Ya'id, Wayachaparwa, Waya Abadwa, Waya Da'aiwa, Kaya, Atha, Shemka, Yahweh, Labadka, Al Yawan, Al Kal Ha'aratazah. So be it. And in the English, keep not thy silence, O Yahweh, hold not thy peace. Be not still, O Yahweh, for lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people. They are consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come, and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee, the tabernacles of Edom and the Ishmaelites of Moab and the Hagarenes, Gabal and Ammon and Amalek, the Philistines with the inhabitants of Tyre. Asher also is joined with them. They have hope in the children of Lot. Salah, do unto them as unto the Midianites, as to Sisera, as to Jabin, at the brook of Kison, which perished at Endor. They became as dung for the earth. Make their nobles like Oreb and like Zeeb, yea, all their princes as Abah and as Almunah, who said, let us take to ourselves the houses of Yahweh in possession. O my power, make them like a wheel, as the stubble before the wind, as the fire burneth the wood, and as the flame setteth the mountains on fire. So persecute them with thy tempest, and make them afraid with thy storm. Fill their faces with shame, that they may seek thy name. O Yahweh, let them be confounded and troubled forever. Yea, let them be put to shame and perish, that men may know that thou, whose name alone is Yahweh, art the most high over all the earth. So be it. Prayer for the blessings. Barakatah Yahweh. Wa Yahweh Shah. Wa Mayaka Allah. Wa Alahayam. Matazab Ya'ah. Alawap Yahana. Ha Alawapyam. Ha Saranyam. Ha Quatazayanyam. Ha Kayayoyam. Wa Ha Quathian Yahweh. Shim Yahweh Shah. The water Amon. And in the English, bless you Yahweh and Yahweh Shah and Michael and the angels, commanding General Yahana, the generals, the captains, the officers, the troopers, and the sisters, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shah. Thank you. So be it. And just so that everybody can know and understand, when the Bible talks about speaking in tongues is another language. That's why in that same chapter in the New Testament where it says you speak in tongues, they speaking in tongues, you have an example in Acts, the 2nd chapter, and also in 1 Corinthians. A tongue is a different language. That's all it is. It's nothing magical. It's nothing special. If you speak in another language other than what everybody else that you're speaking to understands, that's why they said, let there be an interpreter. So that's why we read in the Hebrew, which is our native language, in the Hebrew, which you can learn on Fridays, and in the Sabbath service, you also hear spoken and read as well. And then we translate into the language that the majority of our people are speaking. So if you were watching this ISUPK Haiti class, you would be hearing the Hebrew read, and then the brother would say it in Creole. If you were watching the class for Canada, you'd be hearing the Hebrew, then you might hear it in French. If you were watching the Sabbath service for Puerto Rico or Spanish-speaking countries, you understand, or El Salvador, Mexico, you would hear it being read in English, then you would hear it being read in you would hear it in Hebrew, then you would hear it being read in Spanish, because that is the tongue that audience or those brothers and sisters are speaking and would all understand more commonly. That's what happened in Acts in the day of Pentecost in the 2nd chapter, and that's what tongues are talking about in the Bible, just so that everybody knows, all right? Curses. Blessed are you, Yahweh, King of heaven and earth, and all things living. Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shah, listen to us now, right now. Send evils and curses and punishment and destruction to the heathen that speak against us, thy prophets, the teachers, the princes, the priests, the Israelite brothers in the school. Send evils and curses and punishment and destruction to the heathen, and shake loose the treasure of the rich of Israel that refuse to give to the school. Cause their riches, force their riches to enter into thy sanctuary. Send evils and curses and punishment and destruction to the Edomites and the nations and their drug dealers, court system, prison system, Planned Parenthood, all the governments of our enemies, Amalek synagogues and armies, Roman Catholic Church, Pope, Islam, Christianity, Egyptology, militia, Ku Klux Klan, Aryan Nation, skinheads, Posse Comitazi, the gay movement, the lesbian movement, spies, workers of witchcraft, NASA space programs, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Wall Street, open up the internet and the airwaves, the cable access channels and the radio channels. Convict the spirit of any of thy people that seek to stop us and bring swift destruction to all the heathen that stand in the way or try to stop us from broadcasting your word throughout the planet Earth. Let loose all the plagues. Let loose all the plagues. Let loose all the plagues. Cause them to go to and fro through the earth and destroy and consume them. Let the plague shake the house of the thief and the murderer. Let Yahweh Shai, Michael and Gabriel come down with the flying saucers and punish all the heathen that come up against us as we speak thy word. Cause it to be known by all that it is the angels that have done it. Cause it to be spread through the media throughout the whole world. Cause them to shake at thy coming in the name of Yahweh Shai. Thank you always. So be it. Sar, which means to turn. Yeshabium, which means to be seated. I'm going to go ahead and get started. All right. Yeshabium, which means to be seated. Everybody can sit down, just so that brothers and sisters can have a good understanding. Those prayers that we are saying, these are ISUPK prayers that we have been praying since the 60s. You understand? We've been having these same prayers since the 60s, before your camera phone, before Google, before iMaps and the GPS, before smartphones. The prophets of the Lord have been praying and prophesying about the things that you see right now in 2022 since the 1960s. Before the rest of the world can go and Google and look this up on Bing, the Lord had already given the knowledge and information to the prophets, just as how it has always been all throughout the Bible. Just so that you can understand some more before we get into the Hebrew very briefly here. The prayers that we are sending is a very common misconception about our people, that you can sing and dance and hope that things would just work themselves out. Hey, shalom, brothers. Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai Barakathum to the brothers, and Yahweh Shemar Alathan Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai to the sisters. The prayers that our people are praying don't have the spirit of the Lord. Number one, the Lord is not listening to our people praying if we don't obey his laws, statutes, and commandments, which is Proverbs 28:9, which says, he that turneth his ear from hearing the law, the same law that the Christian preachers say God has done away with, even his prayers shall be an abomination. Meaning, when you actually think that you want God's help and assistance now that there's some tragedy, or some nut burst into the grocery store, or our baby's elementary school, or the movie theater, or at Chuck E. Cheese, or at a traffic stop, that's when many of our people will get in trouble and call on the Lord. But the Lord said before that, if we ignore keeping his laws, statutes, and commandments, that when we turn to pray to him or cry for his assistance, that he would be laughing at us and our prayers would be an abomination. You can read that in Proverbs and also the 28th chapter, and you can read that also in the first chapter. Proverbs 1 and from 23 all the way down till about 27. But the prayers that we are sending up, the prayers of how we get free. We got free from Egypt by the Lord cursing our enemies. That's why we send up curses. A curse is a prayer. You understand? Like, we sending up prayers to the Most High to curse our enemies, because hugs and kisses is not how you stop your children being executed at elementary school. That's not how you stop the child molester and the murderer. In these prayers, we are praying against the governments of our enemies. Why? Because, unbeknownst to us, unless the Lord moves against the governments of our enemies, then the 2 million of yours and mine, uncles, brothers and sisters, cousins, nieces, and nephews can never get out of prison. They can never turn their life around and start over in society, or they can never just face the judgment and then be born back so that they can have another opportunity to live their life, depending on whatever crime was committed. You understand? That without the Lord coming up against the governments of our enemies, you understand, that sister in prison in Russia is never going to get free. You understand? Like Planned Parenthood, if there is no prayer for God to come up against them, which is not what the Christian church is teaching our people to pray about, then they will promote their agenda to make sisters kill their babies. If there's no prayer against the Christian church, then we can't stop all the child molestation that creates the murders and the R. Kellys and the human traffickers. If we don't pray against that LGBT movement, then all the victims of the brothers and sisters that have been molested as children, they will promote and go forward in our oppressors' agenda to promote a lifestyle that allows the child molester comfortability to have a flyer and a banner, that promotes the lifestyle for more predators that have already preyed on children to prey on other children. You understand? That the prayers that Jesus worked it out, that does not work. That's not real. That's not biblical. And that's not how we get free. That's not how we become safe. the prayers against the Ku Klux Klan and the skinheads. That is who Dylan Roof was, that walked in the church in South Carolina. That's who the Ku Klux Klan was, that burned homes and lynched and burned down Black Wall Street. If you don't have prayers to come against the evil, and your life is not about obeying the Most High so that the Lord can stay on your side, stay on our side, and protect our sons and daughters, we are without God's protection in the world, and their plans, which they have many of, are all going to succeed. You understand? That's why we send up these prayers. You understand? All right. So now we're going to go ahead and get into, we're going to read a little bit here in Leviticus, the 23rd chapter. These are commandments from the Most High. These commandments from the Lord. This is how we get the Lord on our side, by keeping his high holy days, keeping his laws, statutes, and commandments, and not celebrating the Christmas and 4th of July, Mother's Day, Father's Day, birthdays, all of those things that we've been raised to do by the Christian church, which creates a separate society of our people, that now this society makes us believe that we are serving God as a people, even though the protection of God is on us or our families or our cities or communities. That is why the Christian church is against God, and we must pray against it. You understand? And the Muslim mosques, the half of our people that are not Christians are Muslims, an entirely another culture and another God that teaches our people that we don't have to serve the God of our forefathers. We can serve the gods of the other nations of people that put us in slavery, while they benefit from us serving their religion, and our communities and neighborhoods fall apart. We get their drugs, Percocets, opioids, and heroin, and they get new converts to their religion so that they can set up shops and rob our communities blind, just like the East Indians, the Chinese, the Arabs, and every other nation of people, because we don't have God's spirit, the Holy Spirit of the Lord, which is to be separate. So now we're going to read in Leviticus chapter 23, all right? Waya Debar, Yahweh, Al Mashah, La Amar, Debar Al Banya, Yasha'Allah, verse 2. Waya Amarath, Al Hum, Mawaidia, Yahweh, Ashar, the Quara'awa, Atham, Makwara Aya, Quadash, Al Ha, Hum, Mawaidia, Shishath, Yamayam, the Aisha, Mala'aka, Wabayawam, Hashabayaya, Shabath one, Makwara'a, Quadash, Kal, Mala'aka, La'a, the Aishawa, Shabath, Yahaya, Salakia, Hawa'a, La Yahawa, Bakal, Mawa Shabath Yakam, verse 4. Al-Ha, Mawa'ayyat, Yahawa, Makwara'awa, Salakia, Makwara'aya, Quadash, Ashar, the Kwara'awa, Atham, Bamawaidam, verse 5. Bakhadash, Hara'ashwan, Shaba, Salakia, Ba'arabaiha, Aishar, Lakhadash, Bayan, Ha'irabayim, Pasach La Yahweh, verse 6. Make it bigger. Baya Salakia, Wabachamasha, Aishar, Yawam, Lakhadash, Hazah, Salakia, Hazah, Chag, Hamatazawath, La Yahweh, Shaba'ith, Yamayam, Mawatazawath, Salakia, Matazawath, the Akalwa, verse 7. By Yawam, Hara'ashwan, Makwara'a, Quadash, Yahaya, Lakam, Kal, Mala'akath, Ibada, La'a, the Aishawa. All right, so now we're going to read in the English Leviticus chapter 1, Leviticus chapter 23, verse 1 in the English. And the Lord spake unto Moses. It's very important to always know that the Lord is talking to one man. It's going to tell you who the Lord is talking to. The Lord is not talking to everyone. You don't hear from God individually. God does not talk to you in your private prayer chamber, in your room, when you close your eyes real tight. From the time you're taught as a baby, they teach you to fold your hands and close your eyes real tight and make sure you don't look. And magically, God is going to hear what you're saying. That is not true. God does not magically talk to you. God does not speak to you in your heart.
The Lord talked to the prophet that he set up. That prophet talks to the men under him that he set up. Everyone repeats what that one man that God spoke to says, and that is the Lord speaking to you. The Lord does not talk to you personally. You don't have a personal relationship with Jesus. Jesus is not God. I don't have a personal relationship with God. Neither do you. Neither does your grandma. None of these lying pastors. If you had a personal relationship with God, then your pastors who also lie and say they got a personal relationship with God, they should have told everybody that some nut was going to shoot up the grocery store or set the church on fire or stop the murders and the robberies and the kidnappings and the child molestations and the drug overdoses. The Lord does not talk to any of them. They are all liars. You understand? That's a demon telling you that God talks to you. God does not talk to you. You understand? That's schizophrenia. This is the Lord speaking to you right now, a prophet of God repeating what another prophet of God was told by the Lord himself. This is the Lord speaking to you. Learn that very important lesson and put that in your spirit. It will save you much heartache and pain throughout your life. All right. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, speak unto the children of Israel and say unto them, unto the children of Israel, not everybody on the planet. This is not written to all nations. This is only for the children of Israel, God's children. The Asians are not God's children. The Africans, Arabs, the white man is not God's children. The Polynesians are not God's children. The Aborigines and the Filipinos are not God's children. Only blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans are the children of the God of the Bible. All right? Concerning the feast of the Lord, which ye shall proclaim to be holy convocations. These are my feasts. This is why we don't celebrate the holidays of the other nations of people in their religion, because God commanded us, our God commanded us to celebrate his high holy days. And if you celebrate Christmas and Thanksgiving and Easter and Valentine's Day and Mother's Day, you will not obey the Lord's high holy days of the Passover and unleavened bread and tents and tabernacles and first fruits. All right. Even these are my feasts. These feasts belong to the Lord. You aren't supposed to celebrate your own feast. You understand? These are the things that the Lord commanded us that we have to celebrate. Verse 3, 6 days shall work be done, but the seventh, which is today, is the Sabbath of rest. The Sabbath is and has always been the Saturday. From Friday sundown starts the Sabbath till Saturday sundown. The daytime between Friday night and Saturday night is the Sabbath day. The Lord separates daytime and nighttime, night and day. They are separate to the Lord. You understand? This 24-hour clock is something that our oppressor made up. He just steals time. That's why they got daylight savings times and all of these other move your clock forward and backward. He's a thief. He'll steal time and lie and say it's more hours in the day than it really is because he's a thief. You understand? The seventh is the Sabbath, and a holy convocation. Ye shall do no servile work therein. Ye shall do salaki. Ye shall do no work therein. It is the Sabbath of the Lord in all your dwellings. The Sabbath of the Lord. You are not allowed to make a new Sabbath. You aren't allowed to make it on Sunday, which is what the Christians did. You're not allowed to change the Lord's Sabbath day. Sunday is and has always been the first day of the week on any calendar, on most of your calendars, besides the Gregorian calendar, that they changed it. Again, if you're a Christian, you are following the Romans. If you are not an ISUPK, most of what you do in your life is following Roman culture, which they got from Egypt, which they got from Babylon. All of it is against the Lord. You understand? Or the vast majority of it is against the Lord and the worship of other gods, like the sun god, which is why you worship on Sunday, which is why when you look at the mosaics and the art pictures of in the Roman Catholic Church and those artworks, you'll see drawing lights around their head to show they're illuminated because they worship the sun god. You understand? You see that more and more creeping in over time as you go through the artworks. You see the pictures and the depictions of the saints Eventually, they just went on ahead after the Renaissance, which you can read in First Maccabees chapter 3 and verse 48. The heathen painted themselves as the artifacts and the icons in the Bible to make everyone white like them, as opposed to Black and Hispanic and Native American like we always were, that were not white men. All of that is in the Bible. This is how we maintain and return to our heritage and culture. That's why we teach all of these things in ISUPK, and we don't sing songs and beat tambourines for you. All right? In all your dwellings, everywhere we are, this laws is not just for Jerusalem. It's not just for New York. It is for everywhere. For Canada, for the Netherlands, for Brazil, for Honduras, for Puerto Rico, for Trinidad. This is for everywhere we are on the planet. We are supposed to keep these high holy days. All right? Not on separate days. These are the feast of the Lord, even holy convocations, a holy gathering. That's what a convocation is, which you shall proclaim in their seasons. You understand? The high holy days are done in certain seasons. And the 14th day of the first month at even is the Lord's Passover. On the 15th day, the Passover, to remember us coming out of Egypt, the Lord put to death all the firstborn of the Egyptians, from the cattle, the mice, the children, everything they had of the firstborn died. And we are to remember that every year to tell us to never join the Egyptians and take their culture, their homosexuality, their molestation, their drug addiction, their shaving your head bald if you're a man or a woman, shaving your face, cutting lines in your face, getting high, worshiping the sun god, praying to crystals and rocks and animals, all kind of lewd, you understand, things that God told us not to do, which are contained in our laws. We are remembering that when we celebrate the Lord's Passover. And on the 15th day of the same month is the Feast of Unleavened Bread. A few days there, the Feast of Unleavened Bread. That's why we eat that unleavened bread, to remember us coming out of the land of Egypt. When we were in the wilderness, we had to eat it quick. And for 7 days, we ate unleavened bread because we could not bake and we didn't have time to make full course meals. We had to eat it quick because we were going to be evicted from Egypt. We were getting deported out of the land of Egypt as deportation. All of our 12 tribes were evicted from Egypt that one night. You understand? You must eat unleavened bread. In the 7th day, you shall have an holy convocation. You shall do no servile work therein. 7 days. You understand? All right. Okay, Most High in Christ. All right. So now we'll go to Leviticus chapter 23 and verse 8. Wahakorabtham, Ashar, La Yahweh, Shaba'ith, Yamayam, Bayawam, Hara, Salakia, Hashabayaya, Makwara'a, Kwadash, Ka, Mala'aka, Ibada, La'a, the Aishawa. Verse 9. Wayadabar Yahweh al Mashal la Amar. Verse 10. Dabar al Banya Yasha'ala wa Amarath al Hum Kaya Salakia Kaya Taba'awa al Ha'aratiza Ashar Anya Nathan Lakam Wakwataza Salakia Wakwatazara Wakwatazar Thumb Af Kwataza Yara Wahaba Ath. It's like it. And in the. Okay. Wahaba Atham. Wahaba Atham. Ath. It's like it. Ath. Imar. Ra'ashwan. It's like it. Ra'ashyaf. Kwataza Yara. Kwataza Yar. Come. Kwataza Yar come. Al. Hakahan, the priest. Okay. Verse 11. Wahanayap, Af, Salakia, Ha'imar, Lapanya, Yahweh, Laratazan come, Mama Korath, Hashabath, Yanayap Nawa, Hakahan. Verse 12. What are we at? 7, 16. Okay, 7, 14. Okay. Wa'ai Shayah. Wa Aishayatham by Yawam Hanayap Hanayapkam Af Ha'imor, Kabash, Thamayum, Bun, Shanathwa, La'allah, Salakia, La'ila, La Yahweh. Verse 13. Wamanachtawa, Shanya, Aisharanyam, Salath, Balawala, Bashaman, Ashal, La Yahweh, Rayak, Nayachak, Wanasaka, Yayan, Rabayaith, Hahayan. Verse 14. Walakha, Walacham, Wakalya, Wakaramal. Okay, we'll call it Wakaramal. La'a, Taba Aid, Itazam, Hayam, Hazah, Aid, Habayakam, Af, Quaraban, Alahayakam, Khakwath, Iwalam, Ladarath Bakal, Mashabath All right. So now we're going to read in the English Leviticus chapter 23, and we're going to start at verse 8. Leviticus 23 and 8. But ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord 7 days. In the 7th day is an holy convocation. Ye shall do no servile work therein. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, When ye be come into the land which I give unto you, and shall reap the harvest thereof, ye shall bring a sheaf of the first fruits of your harvest unto the priests. The first fruits from your crops, from everything that we grew when we come into the land and got settled, that was to go to the priests. Why did it go to the priests? It went to the priests so that the first fruits that you had belonged to the Lord, and you brought it to the priests because the priests were not supposed to be working. The priests were not farming their own land. The priests were not cutting wood and doing stone and mason work. The priests were not working to earn money. The money that you go out and work for, you are supposed to bring to the priest. The crops that you raise, you are supposed to bring to the priest. That is how the nation functions. That is how it has always been. In this society, we are in captivity. The priests are not supposed to be working, doing Esau's slavery. The prophets and the priests of the Lord are not supposed to be doing slaveries, working jobs. You, who are not the priest of the Lord, are supposed to be bringing the money from what you work for, the crops that you raise, your first fruits. They are supposed to be brought to the priests because the priests are going to eat the corn that you raise, the carrots that you raise, the apples and plums and strawberries and mints and thyme and garlic and oil that you raise. They go to the priests. They are not supposed to go to Creflo Dollar and TD Jakes. That is where Christians give all their money to. $500 billion that you've given, that the Christian church has stolen from black people. $500 billion. That money is supposed to go to Commanding General Yohana because he is the actual prophet that the Lord set up. That is feeding, housing, clothing, counseling, getting brothers and sisters off of drugs, out of being prostitutes and getting high, getting them over their child molestation and all of the crime and poverty and drug addiction and not having fathers and immigration detention centers and not knowing their identity or their nationality and fixing and repairing and raising up this nation, which is what Christ appointed the prophets to do. That is supposed to go to Commanding General Yohana. You have taken the money that is supposed to, and the first fruits, you have given it to thieves and robbers when it is supposed to come to the men of the Lord. That is how it has always been in the Bible. You understand? That is why the Lord has it instituted as a high holy day, so that you can understand that all of your wealth and resources does not belong to you. You are not allowed to pocket 100% of everything that you have, which is what the Christian church teaches, which is why our people are struggling and suffering, because Diddy and Michael Jordan and Oprah, you understand, and Jay-Z hoard billions of dollars of wealth and resources that is supposed to go to the priests. If you pay your 10% and your first fruits and crops to feed the rest of the brothers and sisters who are killing each other over scraps from our oppressors. That's why it is instituted in the law. It is instituted in the high holy days. So instead of celebrating greedy Mother's Day and Father's Day, which is hate your father for not being around and worship mommy twice in a year, and Valentine's Day and Christmas, which is hate your father for not having enough money for toys, and birthdays, which is hate your father for not having enough money for good gifts. You understand? All of these things, and 4th of July and New Year's Day, which is go outside and shoot all your ops, just like Halloween. You are not supposed to celebrate those. God commanded that we celebrate these. This is why. All right. And verse 11, and he shall wave the sheaf before the Lord. He's going to take that skin of that corn and wave it before the Lord, that sheaf of what you bring. You understand, that corn, that wheat, he will wave it before the Lord to be accepted for you, meaning he's doing this on your behalf, on the behalf of the brothers and sisters who are not the priests, who do not stand and deal with the duties of going to the Most High on the nation's behalf. At that time, that is, we had priests in the temple. We don't have a temple anymore. We still have the priests that go before the Most High and intercede on behalf of the nation. That is why we go and do these speakings and teach these classes, to raise up brothers and sisters to teach us to turn back to the Most High, so that we do not die in the Lord's anger and his wrath for disobeying him. All right. So now, on the morrow after the Sabbath, the priest shall wave it. Verse 12, and ye shall offer that day when ye shall wave the sheaf, and he lamb without blemish of the first year for a burnt offering unto the Lord. Eating lamb, we always ate meat. The offering that you send to the Lord of that sheep or that goat or that he lamb, that offering went to be sacrificed to the Most High. It was to burn. The Lord enjoyed that sweet savor. And the priest ate the lambs that you bought there. You understand? That's what happened with it. The young turtle doves that you bring, you understand? So like it, the goats, the cattle, the heifer, the priests were eating that meat. We always ate meat. It has always been our culture from the very beginning of the Bible. You understand? And we were not just supposed to eat vegetarians because you have to cook the meat. You understand? For all you vegans out there, if you don't want to eat meat, that's fine. But God never said you could not eat meat. He specifically gave laws on what meat we could eat and what meat we could not eat. All right? Verse 13, and the meat offering thereof shall be 2/10 deals of fine flour mingled with oil. Fine flour, mix it up with the oil. You're going to take the meat and you're going to mix it. You take the flour, you take that meat, you take that beef, you take that, mix it with the flour. And you're going to mingle it with oil, an offering made by fire unto the Lord for a sweet savor. What is this sweet savor that the Lord loves? Meat, the lamb being floured and cooked and put on the grill. What does that sound like? You slaughtering lamb, you slaughtering cattle. This here specifically says slaughter a lamb. You take that lamb, you flour the meat, you kill it, you slaughter it, you put it in the fire. You understand? It sounds like a steakhouse you got going on here. This is Israelite culture. Cooking meat on the grill, open flame, roasted and floured meat. That is Israelite culture. It is not the Jewish man's culture. It is not Amalek's culture. It is not all people's culture. This is Black, Hispanic, and Native American culture. Depending on what neighborhood you're in, if you wait outside a little bit longer, you'll see Blacks and Hispanics outside doing this same thing in the temple, taking meat, seasoning it, flipping it in the fire, putting it on the grill, because this is what the Lord loves. That's why we do it, because the Lord loves it. Just don't eat anything unlawful, all right? There shall be, you understand, for a sweet savor. This is sweet. It smells sweet to the Lord. The Lord loves the smell of burning steak and lamb on open fire. God loves that smell. You understand? He loves it. It's a sweet savor unto the Lord. You understand? And the drink offering, the Lord wants a drink offering, shall be of wine. It shall be of wine. You understand? The fourth part of an hin. That's a measurement. The drink offering is going to be wine. You mean steak and wine. This is what it's talking about. You bought your first fruits. You're bringing your wine that you made. You're bringing these things to be taken and consumed by the priest for you, because that is how the Lord set it up. The laws in the Bible are for you to consider your brother. It's to teach you to not be selfish, for you to consider your brother. God's laws are to teach blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans how to treat one another. You serving God is directly tied to you taking care of your brother, taking care of your sister. You understand? How you talk to each other, how you deal with each other, how you correct each other, how you deal with each other when you are wrong, giving for each other. You understand? And it was instituted in the law that you took the best that you had and offered it to the Lord, and you giving it to the Lord was you giving it to the priest, and your brothers would accept it on your behalf because he goes to the Lord for you. That's how it has always been. This is brotherhood in the Bible. It's all throughout the Bible. You understand? Verse 14, and ye shall eat neither bread nor parched corn nor green ears until the selfsame day that ye have brought an offering unto your power. Meaning, don't go and feed yourself of your crops before you take the offering to the Lord. Don't sneak a few here and there, because the first of your crops is supposed to go to the priest. Don't feed you first. Make sure your brother is taken care of first, which is the opposite of the Christian spirit of, I need personal salvation. I do for me, you do for yourself. Get mine, I'm getting mine, you got to get yours. The very spirit of that comes from the personal salvation, personal relationship with God. I know God in my heart. God knows me. All of those things make you selfish. They seem wonderful and so religious and so sanctified, but they're really evil things. They put evil spirits on our people because they are the opposite of the Spirit of God. That's why we're reading it here in the Bible. It shall be a statute forever throughout your generations, meaning the generations of your children, which is your generations, are all supposed to be taught that your brother's life is more important. That your brother, I'm not going to do this because of my brother. I'm not going to do this because of my sister. I won't treat my sister this way. I won't deal with my brother this way. I won't steal from him. I won't lie to him. I won't have sex with his woman. I won't marry his daughter and then throw her away because I won't treat my sister this way. I won't do this to my brother. That is the whole spirit of the law. That is why Christ said in the New Testament, the whole law hang on these. Love the Most High thy power with all thy soul, mind, body, heart, and spirit, and love thy neighbor as thyself. Who is your neighbor? Leviticus 19, 17, and 18. Your neighbor, which is the precept for that word, because remember, the words in the Bible have specific definitions. Your neighbor is the children of your people. Another so-called Black, Hispanic, or Native American, that is who your neighbor is, according to the Bible. All right? This shall be a statute. A statute is a law forever throughout all of your generations and all your dwellings. You'll see that all the time throughout the law, because the Lord wants to make sure that this continues to get passed down. We stopped looking out for each other once we integrated and started treating each other and living like white men. When we started living, voting for our leaders is the oppressor's culture. Our culture is every man is responsible for his house. No woman is to take authority from him. She is to give an account of what she does and says to him. The children respond to her under his authority. That is how every house is done. That is how the community will function. There's a hierarchy of men of power and authority in every community that are responsible for the neighborhood, that is responsible for each house, who goes in, what happens in there, who comes out, what is done, what is said, who wears what, who has sex with who took what is belong. All of that is in order. That's why the Bible says, do all things in decency and in order. And the spirit of these laws that we are reading is to make sure that all of our generations are in order. And we lost the proper order that it took us no time to put back together from coming out of slavery. Within a few years, then 100 years, we built our own colleges, cities, towns, and everything, and was self-sufficient. Any scrap that we got, we took it and multiplied it amongst ourselves to the point that our oppressors had to come and burn it down and kill us and steal what we had because their own people did not take care of them. This is supposed to be throughout our generations. This is why you're supposed to come into the ISUPK to learn and do your part to build this nation up. Had we done this, instead of going everywhere else since the 60s, we'd have our own separate part of the country, just like we did in Egypt. That's why we lived in Goshen with our separate water supply on the other side of the river, instead of living in communities that were controlled by the Egyptians. This is what the Lord is pushing us back to. You understand? It shall be a statute throughout all your generations. All right? So with that, we'll be at there, 46. All right. We're going to do 7 more. All right. So now we're going to go from Leviticus chapter 23 and verse 15. All right. What's a parathum, lakam, mamacharath, hashabath, mayawam, haba yaakam, ath, imar, hathanawap, Salaki Hatana Wapa, Shabbat, Salaki Shabai, Shabbath, Khan, Shabbathwath, Thamayamath, Thamayayan, Thahayayana, Khan. All right. Verse 16. Id, Mamacharath, Shabbath, Salaki Hashabath, Hashabayaith, Thasaparwa, Chamasha, Salaki Chamashim, Yawam, Wahakorabtham, Mana Salaki, Manacha, Khadasha, La Yahawa. Verse 17. Mama Washabath Yakam, Thabayaawa, La Lacham, Thanawapa, Tayam, Shanya, Aisharanyam, Aisharanyam, Salath, Tahayana, Chamataza, Ta'apar, Ta'apayana, Ta'apayana, Bakawarium, La Yahawa, verse 18. Wahakorabtham, Wahakorabtham, Al, Halacham, Shaba'aith, Kabashim, Tamayamam, Bayan, Shana, Wapar, Bun, Bakwar, Akkad, Wa'ayalam, ancient, Wa'ayalam, Shanyam, Yahayam, Salakia, Yahayawa, Ayla, La Yahawa, Wana, Salakia, one woman, Wamanaktam, Salakia, Wana Sakyaham, Ashar, Salakia, Ashar, Rayak, Yana, Salakia, Nayachak, La Yahawa, verse 19. Wa'aisha Yatham, Sha'ayar, Sha'ayar, Izam, Achad, Lakata'ath, Washanya, Kabashim, Banya, Shana, Lazarak, Salaki, Lazabak, Shalamah, Shalomyim. What is that? Peace offerings, 19. Shalomyim, your peace offerings. Okay, Shalomyim. All right. Verse 20. Wahanayap, Hakahan, Atham, Al, Lakam. That's bread. Okay. Habakawarium, Thanawapa, Lapanya, Yahweh, Al, Shanya, Kabashiam, Kadash, Yahayan, Salaki, Yahayawa, Yahayawa, La Yahweh, Lakahan. Verse 20, verse 21. Wakwara Ba'itazam, Hayawa, Hayawam, Hazah, Makwara'a, Kadash, Salakia, Kwadash, Yahaya, Lakam, Kal, Mala'akath, Ibada, La'a, Da'aishawa, Kwaka, Salakia, Chakwak, Salakia, Chakwath, Iwalam, Bakal, Mawashabath Yakam, Mawashabath Yakam, Ladarath Yakam. All right, so now we're going to read in the English. Leviticus chapter 15 unto 21. All right, Leviticus chapter 15, verse 21. And ye shall count unto you from the morrow after the Sabbath, from that day that ye brought the sheaf of the wave offering, 7 Sabbaths, even unto the morrow. So, like, even unto the morrow after the 7th Sabbath shall ye number 50 days. And ye shall offer an offering, and ye shall offer a new meat offering unto the Lord. You shall bring out of your habitations 2 wave loaves of 2 tenth deals. They shall be of fine flour baken with leaven. They are the first fruits unto the Lord, unto the Most High. You shall offer with the bread 7 lambs without blemish of the first year, and 1 young bullock and 2 rams. They shall be for a burnt offering unto the Most High, with their meat offerings and their drink offerings, even an offering made by fire of sweet savor unto the Most High. 19. Then ye shall sacrifice 1 kid of the goats, a sin offering, and 2 lambs of the first year for a sacrifice of peace offering. Verse 20. And the priest shall wave them with the bread of the first fruits for a wave offering before the Most High, with 2 lambs. They shall be holy to the Lord for the priests. Meaning this bread, these wave offerings, the lambs, the he lambs, these things are being accepted by the priests on behalf of the Lord. That is why everybody cannot be a priest of the Lord. Everyone cannot be a man of God, cannot represent the God of this Bible. You are all committing crimes. Everyone who is not in the ISUPK, you are not a priest of the Lord. You are not authorized to do anything in reference to the Most High on behalf of the nation, on behalf of the God of the Bible. You are against God. You are in rebellion against the Most High. You are committing crimes against our nation. You are committing crimes against our people. You are deceiving the people. You are stealing from the people. You are misleading and dividing the nation. And the Lord is going to visit you for it. The Lord is going to deal with you for it. Commander General Yohana has warned brothers and sisters numerous times. All camps are to return back to the original school. This is for your safety. This is for so that we can put our nation back together before the Lord issues a judgment. You understand? All right. Verse 21, and ye shall proclaim on the self same day that it shall be in holy convocation unto you. You shall do no servile work therein, meaning you are not to do servile work. That doesn't mean on the Sabbath you sit and stare at a wall because your kids aren't supposed to be able to eat. You can't cook food, so you got to starve your kids to death eating cold sandwiches. You can't play your video games. That's absolutely foolish. They can't go outside and play. You got to sit and read a book. You can't turn the light switch on. That is foolish. It is a heathen's understanding of the Bible. That is what servile work therein. You slave, your job that you earn for money is your servile work. You are not supposed to do that on the Sabbath service. On the Sabbath day, you are supposed to be free. That law is so the employers cannot slave you 7 days a week, which is exactly what a heathen will do, which is why we were never supposed to join the heathen or take their customs or cultures. You understand? That is what servile work there is. We are in captivity, so many of our people have to slave. That's why we call it a slavery. They have to slave. If you have the option to get off on the Sabbath day, you should be off. You should be at camp. You should not let anything stop you from doing the work and service of the Lord if you want to serve the Most High. Not your mom, your job, your kids, your woman, none of that. You understand? You have to stand to do the work of the Lord. You can't be under mommy. You can't be under your woman and your kids and scared of every damn thing. You won't be any good or useful to the service of the Lord. All right? It shall be a statute forever in all your dwellings throughout your generations. You come, you'll learn, you'll get strong, and you'll put on the spirit of the Lord so that the work of the Lord can become first and a primary so that we can build our nation. Then we can get out of captivity. All right. And with that, we will go ahead. That there, just us up here. We want to say Imadium, which means to stand. Wapanya Hakwadam, which means turn and face the east. Set up the prayers here. Turn and face the east. All right. We're going to say the Lord's Prayer in the Hebrew. Abanawa, Shabbat Shemayim, Quadash, Hayah, Shimka, Yahweh, Malach Wafka, Taba'a, Ratazayaka, Hayah, Aisha, Ba'arataza, Kawar, Hayah, Bashamayim, Nathanlanawa, Lakam, Kao, Yawam, Wasalak Nawa, Kabawaf Nawa, Kasalak Nawa, Kabawathi Nawa, Wala'a, Tabayai Nawa, Banasaya 1, Abal, Hawashai Nawa, Mayan, Ra, Kaya, Laka, Amalakwa, Waha'ala, Wahataparav, Lavalumium, Amon. And in the English, Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors, and lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. So be it. Prayer for the power in the Hebrew. Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahweh Shah, Baba Koshar, Nathan Lanawa, Haka, Haka, Lara Pa'a, Ka Makala, Waka Matawa, Haka, La Tahar, Hamatazarayim, Haka, La Hakwiyam, Hamathiam, Haka, Al Rakar Waf, Hatama Allah, Lagarishan, Bahashim Yahweh Shah, the water Amon, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shah. Please give us the power to heal all manner of sickness and all manner of disease, the power to cleanse the lepers, the power to raise the dead, the power against unclean spirits and cast them out. In the name of Yahweh Shah, thank you, so be it. Psalms 121 in the Hebrew. Asha'ah, Ayanya, Al-Haharya, Ma'ayan, Yaba'a, Izoriya, Ma'ayim, Yahweh, Aisha, Shemayim, Wa'arataza, Al-Yathan, Lamawat, Regalka, Al-Yanawam, Shemorka, Hana, La'a, Yanawam, Wala'a, Yayashan, Shawamar, Yasha'ala, Yahweh, Shemorka, Yahweh, Tazalka, Al-Yad, Yamyanka, Yawamam, Hashamash, La'a, Yakaka, Wayarak, Balayala, Yahweh, Yashamor, Makara, Yashamor, Taza'at, Salakya, Yahweh, Yashamor Ka, Makara, Yashamor, Afnapashka, Yahweh, Yashamor, Taza'atka, Wabawa'aka, Ma'ita, Wa'aid, Iralam, Amon. In the English, I will lift up mine eyes into the hills, from whence cometh my help. My help cometh from Yahweh, which made heaven and earth. He will not suffer thy foot to be moved. He that keepeth thee will not slumber. Behold, he that keepeth Israel shall neither slumber nor sleep. Yahweh is thy keeper. Yahweh is thy shade upon thy right hand. The sun shall not smite thee by day, nor the moon by night. Yahweh shall preserve thee from all evil. He shall preserve thy soul. Yahweh shall preserve thy going out and thy coming forth from this time forth, and even forevermore. So be it. Psalms 83. Alahaya, Al Damayalaka, Al Takarash, Wa Al Tashakwat, Al Kayahana, Awayabyaka, Yahama Yawan, Wa Mashanayaka, Nasha'awa, Ra'ash, Al Imaka, Ya'ira Yamwa, Sawad, Wayataya Aitazawa, Al Tazapawanyaka, Amorwa, Lakawa, Wanakakidam, Magoya, Wala'a, Yazakar, Sham Yasha'ala, Iwad, Kaya, Nawa'itazawa, Lab, Yakalwa, Awyaka, Baryaf, Yakarathwa, Ahoya, Alawam, Wayashima'alyam, Mawa'aba, Wahagorium, Gabor, Wa'imawan, Wa'imalak, Palashaf, I'm Yeshabia, Tazawar, Gum Ashawar, Nalawa, Imam, Hayawa, Zerawai, Labanya Lawat, Salah, Aishalaham, Kamadian, Kasaya Sara'a, Kayabyan, Banakal, Kwayashwa, Nashamadwa, Ba'ayanda Ara, Hayawa, Daman, La Adama, Shayatamwa, Nadayamawa, Ka'irab,
Wakaza Abba, Wakaza Bak, Wakatazal Manai, Kal Nasaya Kamwa, Ashor, Amorwa, Naya Rishal, La Nawa, Ath, Naawath, Alahayam, Alahayat, Shayadamwa, Kagalgala, Kakwash, La Panyaraka, Kaash, Taba Ira Yaira, Wakalahaba, Dalahat, Haryam, Khan, Daradapma, Basa Iraka, Wabasawapafka, Tabahalam, Mala'a, Panyaham, Kwalawan, Wayabakwashwa, Shemka, Yahweh, Yabashwa, Yabashwa, Ida Id, Waya Kaparwa, Waya Abadwa, Waya Daiwa, Kaya, Atha, Shamka, Yahweh, Labadka, Alyawan, Al Kal Ha'arataza. And in the English, keep not thy silence, O Yahweh, and hold not thy peace, and be not still, O Yahweh, for lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up their head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come, and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee, the tabernacles of Edom, and the Ishmaelites, of Moab, and the Hagarenes, Gabal, and Ammon, and Amalek, the Philistines, with the inhabitants of Tyre. Asher also is joined with them. They have hope in the children of Lot. And just so that you can understand why we saying these prayers, as you continue to come to class, you will learn them more and more. You'll get more familiar with them. You can hit the correspondence department if you want the prayers. But these are the same nations that King David was praying against back then. This is how they know to come and set up carryouts in your neighborhood, to set up beauty supply stores, laundromats, become the property owners. They have set and took crafty counsel. They have always been fighting to get over the top of our people. Since the days of David and Goliath, all the wars with the Syrians, the Philistines, we have always been into it with the Moabites, the Chinese, the Ishmaelites, the Arabs, the East Indians, the children of Elam. You understand? The tabernacles of Edom, the Amalek, which is the so-called Jewish man who stole our identity. We have always, these people, these nations have always been against so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans all throughout the entire Bible. It is spiritual that we still saying these same prayers because we have always had problems with these same nations. You understand? That's why they're listed here. We always had wars against them. They are still waging wars against our people. We just don't understand because we in a different spirit instead of the Lord's spirit. All right. So verse 8, it says, Asher also is joined with them. They have hope in the children of Lot. Salah, do unto them as unto the Midianites, as to Sisera, as to Jabin, at the brook of Kison, which perished at Endor. They became as dung for the earth. Make their nobles like Oreb and like Zeeb, yea, all their princes as Zabah and as Zalmunna, who said, let us take to ourselves the houses of Yahweh in possession. O my power, make them like a wheel, as the stubble before the wind, as the fire burneth their wood, as the flame setteth the mountains on fire. So persecute them with thy tempest, and make them afraid with thy storm. Fill their faces with shame, that they may seek thy name, O Yahweh. Let them be confounded and troubled forever. Yea, let them be put to shame and perish, that men may know that thou, whose name alone is Yahweh, art the most high over all the earth. So be it. Prayer for the blessings in the Hebrew. Barakatah Yahweh, Wa Yahweh Shah, Wa Mayaka Allah, Wa Allah Hayim Matazab Ya'ah, Allah Wap Yahana, Ha Allah Wap Yam, Ha Saranyam, Ha Quatazayanyam, Ha Kayayoyam, Wa Ha Wathian Yahweh, Bashim Yahweh Shah, the water Aman. In the English, bless you, Yahweh and Yahweh Shah, and Michael, and the angels, Commander General Yahana, the generals, the captains, the officers, the troopers, and the sisters. Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shah, thank you, so be. All right. All right. Do the prayers. One more blessing. Let's see. Blessings. I can go just a moment here. All right. All right, we good. All right, Saul, which means to turn. Men of Israel, going to give one courtesy salute. Men of Israel, sisters Yeshabiim, which means to be seated, standing. Men of Israel, going to give one courtesy salute. Men of Israel, Manu Shabbat, Aymadim, Barak, Yahweh Shem Shab Rakathum. Your brothers, Saul, which means to turn. Men of Israel, going to give one courtesy salute to the sisters. Men of Israel, Manu Shabbat, Aymadim, Barak, Yahweh Shemar Alathan, by Hashem Yahweh Shah, Yadin Matah, which means hands down, class dismissed. Shalom. Everybody be sure to pay your tithes. All right. Shalom.